The film begins by introducing a former American Marine named Jack who is currently in Morocco. Jack now works as a hitman and is in Morocco to target one of his marks. After his morning workout, Jack opens his laptop and receives information from his client that his target will arrive at the airport at 11 a.m., intending to go to a hotel. His client wants Jack to eliminate the target before reaching the hotel. It turned out, Jack's target, named Omar, is a terrorist leader who frequently conducts terror acts in America. After receiving this information, Jack immediately prepares his weaponry and rushes to the airport. Not long after, Omar arrives at the airport guarded by several bodyguards and heads to the hotel. Meanwhile, Jack has been observing Omar and is ready to execute his plan. At the same time, two local detectives notice that Jack is targeting someone, so they start chasing him. While following his target from behind, Jack realizes that the detectives are trying to stop him, leading to a chase between Jack and the detectives. During the chase, Jack exits his car and runs into a narrow alley, where his client has already prepared another car for him. Ultimately, Jack manages to escape the two detectives and heads to Omar's hotel. Shortly after, Jack arrives near the hotel just as Omar's entourage does. Using a sophisticated smartphone provided by his client, Jack locks all of Omar's group's cars, which will unlock in 20 seconds. Within that time frame, Jack quickly approaches Omar and shoots him. After successfully eliminating his target, Jack went to meet his client, Lee, a CIA agent who often hires him for difficult missions. At that time, Lee informed Jack that he had to eliminate another target currently in England and instructed Jack to board a plane to England. When they were inside, two other hitmen who also work for Lee were visible, and she also said that Jack would be working with him to eliminate the target this time. Upon hearing this, Jack refused, as he was used to working alone and didn't need anyone else. However, Lee insisted that Jack would need them because the target was an illegal arms dealer who supplied weapons to terrorists. This arms dealer had even tried to assassinate the President of the United States, meaning it would be difficult for Jack to handle the mission alone. Lee then showed a photo of the arms dealer and explained that his name was McKnight. Additionally, Lee also mentioned that the person who knew McKnight's current whereabouts was named Hassan. To find McKnight, they first had to locate Hassan, as he would be easier to track down. After that, Lee showed more photos of people who frequently associated with Hassan. After being shown the photos of Hassan's friends, Jack recognized one of them named Dayton. Jack explained that Dayton was a former British soldier whom he had saved during the war in Afghanistan. Therefore, Jack planned to visit Dayton to quickly find Hassan. Sometime later, they arrived in England, and Jack immediately took the two other hitmen, now as partners, to Dayton's residence. On the way, one of Jack's partners mentioned that he knew Jack had a wife and that she had just given birth a few days ago. He then asked why Jack didn't retire and take care of his family instead. Hearing this, Jack replied that he would retire and return to America after completing this mission. A few hours later, they arrived at Dayton's home, and he warmly welcomed Jack, remembering how Jack had saved him during the war in Afghanistan. Jack then explained that he and his two partners were on a CIA mission to eliminate an illegal arms dealer named McKnight. But to find his location, they first needed to speak with someone named Hassan. Dayton responded that he knew Hassan and knew where to find him, but considered Hassan like a brother, so if Jack was targeting him, he wouldn't reveal his location. Jack explained that their target was not Hassan, but the mafia boss, and they promised only to interrogate Hassan and not harm him. Hearing this, Dayton finally agreed to take Jack and his two partners to Hassan's residence, but on the condition that they have lunch together first. On the other hand, McKnight was seen summoning one of his subordinates who had been caught betraying him. After asking a few questions, McKnight unhesitatingly ordered his other men to eliminate the traitor. Back to Jack and his two partners, who were now being led by Dayton to Hassan's residence. However, upon their arrival, it turned out that Dayton and Hassan had conspired with McKnight, leading to a shootout between them. During this incident, one of Jack's partners was killed by Dayton. As Jack was about to fight back, police sirens were heard, prompting Jack to escape with his remaining partner. Shortly after, Jack and his partner met with Lee. At that moment, Jack explained that they were now down to two because Dayton had betrayed them and killed one of his partners. Meanwhile, Dayton approached McKnight and informed him that the CIA had sent 3 hitmen to eliminate him, one of whom he had already killed, leaving 2 remaining. Hearing this, McKnight instructed Dayton to quickly eliminate the remaining 2, offering a significant bonus in return. It turned out that Dayton ran a security business, and McKnight had been hiring his company to protect him while in England. Back to Lee, who has just discovered that Dayton owns a security business, confirming that he is the one protecting McKnight. Lee also managed to locate Dayton's secret office and immediately approached Jack and his remaining partner, Samuelson. Lee then explained everything about Dayton to Jack and Samuelson and instructed them to go to the Dictum Company office to gather information about McKnight. On the way to Dayton's secret office, Jack tried to contact him. When connected, Jack expressed his disappointment with Dayton for conspiring with a mafia boss. Dayton replied that it was just business and told Jack to go back to America before he gets killed. However, Jack responded that he would kill Dayton first and bury him. In short, Jack and Samuelson arrived behind Dayton's secret office, sneaking in to search for information about McKnight's whereabouts. However, Dayton noticed through CCTV that his secret office was being infiltrated and ordered his troops to head there immediately. Back to Jack and Samuelson, who were still searching for information. Unfortunately, they found nothing, so Samuelson and Jack decided to plant a bomb before they both left. After leaving the office, Samuelson suggested that Jack watch Dayton's reaction from a distance. At the same time, Dayton and his troops arrived, prompting Samuelson to detonate the bomb they had planted. Seeing his office destroyed, Dayton was furious and vowed to kill Jack and Samuelson as soon as possible. While Samuelson and Jack appeared satisfied and then took a shortcut to escape. An hour later, Jack instructed Samuelson to send a message to Dayton using his phone. Upon receiving the message, Dayton immediately ordered his hacker subordinate to track Jack's phone. After locating it, Dayton ordered all his troops to get ready because they were going to chase down Samuelson and Jack right away. On the other hand, this was part of Jack's plan to lure Dayton's troops to him. Jack then asked Samuelson to contact Lee to find the best location for them to take action freely. After checking several locations, Lee suggested they lure Dayton's troops to an abandoned factory not far from their base, as she would also send 2 CIA agents to assist them. Not long after, Jack and Samuelson arrived at the abandoned factory where they found the 2 CIA agents sent by Lee. Without wasting time, they prepared their weapons and entered the factory, guided by Lee. Shortly afterward, Dayton's troops arrived at the factory and started crawling inside. As the battle was about to commence, Lee reminded Jack and Samuelson to capture Dayton alive because he knew McKnight's whereabouts. However, Lee's connection suddenly cut off, leaving her unable to guide them. Fortunately, during the battle, Jack and Samuelson managed to subdue Dayton and quickly took him away. Unfortunately, Samuelson was shot, prompting Jack to prioritize saving him as the situation grew dire. Therefore, they both decided to escape from the factory. An hour later, the 2 CIA agents sent by Lee were found dead from the incident, while Dayton took the phone from one of the CIA agents and contacted Lee. When connected, Dayton threatened that after eliminating Jack and Samuelson, he would also hunt down her. However, Lee replied that the CIA would never stop hunting Dayton unless he agreed to cooperate. Hearing this, Dayton responded that he would cooperate with the CIA as long as it was mutually beneficial. In short, Dayton met with Lee at a certain location and stated that he was willing to hand over McKnight if she paid him double what McKnight had been paying him. Additionally, Dayton demanded that Lee hand over Jack and Samuelson because they had destroyed his company office. Hearing this, Lee immediately agreed because she had a personal vendetta against McKnight and was willing to do anything to get him. The following night, Jack and Samuelson, under Lee's orders, were tasked with raiding a boat by the lake, as she was confident that McKnight was hiding there. Jack and Samuelson then approached the boat and eliminated several guards, but unfortunately, McKnight was not there, only a few of his guards. As Jack and Samuelson were about to leave, they were suddenly surrounded by Dayton's troops, leading to a firefight. In the midst of the battle, Dayton deliberately provoked Samuelson by mocking him. Feeling humiliated, Samuelson reacted and came out of hiding, firing in all directions. Unfortunately, Samuelson ran out of bullets and found himself cornered by Dayton. Samuelson then challenged Dayton to a hand-to-hand fight, and he accepted. When the fight was being dominated by Samuelson, Dayton suddenly pulled out a gun and killed him. Meanwhile, Jack, now alone, decided not to take any risks and chose to escape, especially since Dayton's troops were still numerous. In short, Jack returned to Lee to inform her that Samuelson was dead and McKnight was not on the boat near the lake. At that moment, Lee immediately apologized for having told them that McKnight might be there. However, Lee had intentionally lied to Jack and Samuelson to ensure they were surrounded by Dayton's troops. But so far, Jack had not suspected that Lee and Dayton were working together. On the other side, Dayton was being scolded by McKnight for failing to kill Jack. McKnight was furious because he had paid Dayton a lot of money, but the mission failed. It turned out, McKnight was very afraid of Jack, who had a reputation for being tough, and he did not want Jack to suddenly appear and kill him. Hearing this, Dayton responded that he would place his 2 best men to guard him, while Dayton and the remaining troops would hunt Jack immediately. Back to Lee, who suggested to Jack that they find Dayton's family, believing that if his family were taken hostage, Dayton would reveal McKnight's whereabouts. After searching for a few minutes, they finally managed to find the address of Dayton's family residence. Initially, Jack was hesitant because he didn't want to involve innocent people in the mission. However, Lee managed to convince Jack, and he finally agreed to follow her plan and left immediately. But after Jack left, Lee sent a message to Dayton because it was all a trap for him. Because of this, Dayton ordered some of his men to intercept Jack on the way before he reached his family home. In short, Jack was ambushed on the road by several of Dayton's men. Fortunately, Jack was able to handle them all easily. Even took one of Dayton's men hostages to find out how they knew he was heading to Dayton's family home. At that moment, the terrified man revealed that Lee had provided the information. Knowing this, Jack then took the man's phone and sent a message to Dayton pretending that he had been killed by his men. Dayton was pleased to receive the message and now planned to trap McKnight to hand him over to Lee. At that moment, Dayton contacted Lee and informed her that Jack had been eliminated and now asked Lee to go to McKnight's hideout. But before that, Dayton reminded her not to forget to bring the payment as they had agreed. Not long after, Dayton's troops arrived at McKnight's hideout. However, when they tried to surround him, they found that he had already escaped and the 2 men that Dayton had assigned to guard him were dead. At the same time, Lee also arrived and was visibly disappointed with Dayton because she had sacrificed Jack only to have McKnight escape. Dayton tried to calm Lee and contacted his men to track down McKnight. Eventually, Dayton's hacker managed to find out that McKnight was heading to a small airport. At the same time, Lee suddenly received a phone call from McKnight and was asked to turn up the phone's volume. Apparently, McKnight revealed that he knew all along about Dayton conspiring with Lee. Additionally, McKnight also explained that Dayton was being deceived by Lee, as she could never pay the amount he demanded. This was because Lee was carrying out the mission as personal revenge, not an official CIA mission. It was revealed that Lee held a grudge against McKnight because he had killed her father. After that, Lee immediately took one of Dayton's men hostages, as what McKnight had said was true. Shortly after, Jack suddenly appeared, causing a chaos. In this incident, Lee managed to eliminate all of Dayton's men, while Dayton was still dueling with Jack. Eventually, Jack managed to kill Dayton. After defeating Dayton's group, Lee and Jack headed to the airport to chase McKnight. Even though Jack knew Lee had betrayed him, he remained professional because, after all, she was a client who often gave him jobs. Lee then apologized to Jack several times, but Jack chose to stay silent. On the other hand, McKnight had arrived at the airport and was about to leave England for Russia. However, his men informed him that the plane they hired would arrive in 20 minutes. Shortly after, Jack and Lee arrived near the airport, where Jack asked Lee to stay in the car while he carried out his final mission to eliminate McKnight. Jack then infiltrated the area and planted a bomb. At the same time, the sound of the plane coming to pick up McKnight could be heard. As Jack was about to pursue McKnight, he was spotted, leading to a shootout. Eventually, Jack managed to detonate the bomb he had planted and then hurried to chase McKnight onto the runway. Jack then attacked McKnight's bodyguards, resulting in another fierce shootout. During this moment, McKnight tried to board the plane and urged the pilot to leave quickly. Fortunately, Jack managed to incapacitate McKnight's bodyguards and tried to stop the plane with a nearby vehicle. Realizing that his plane was blocked, McKnight exited and attacked Jack. Shortly after, Lee also appeared and rammed her car into Jack's because one of McKnight's bodyguards was still alive. Seizing the opportunity, Lee shot McKnight, finally killing him. Unfortunately, Lee was also hit by several bullets. Before she died, Lee thanked Jack for helping her avenge McKnight. Because of this, Jack felt a bit sad as he wouldn't receive any payment since Lee was already dead. However, Jack quickly boarded the plane and instructed the hired pilot to take him back to America. At that moment, Jack was instantly delighted after seeing all of McKnight's money inside the plane. Now, Jack wouldn't have to worry when he reunited with his family, as he would be bringing a lot of money with him. Moral lesson from the story: always double-check your client's motives, or you might end up fighting a small army in a narrow alley. And remember, when life gives you lemons, make sure they're not wired to explode.